Welcome to the next episode of Cannabis Review. I'm delighted to be joined this episode by Nohtal Partansky, who's the founder and CEO at Sorting Robotics. How you keeping today, Nohtal?
Doing all right. Thanks, Owen.
Very pleasure to speak to you. Can you maybe give everybody a quick little overview of your company and the position you're in and how you ended up focusing on the cannabis industry?
Yeah, so a little overview of the company. We're a robotics company that specifically builds robots for cannabis manufacturers. Um, Super high level. We started back in 2018. Me and one of my co-founders were working at NASA. I was working on a device that's currently on the surface of Mars, producing oxygen from the Martian atmosphere, and that was really great. And then we wanted to build a company of our own, and so we built this company. Coming straight out of NASA, we actually were in e-commerce, doing inventory management for your e-commerce sellers. And then 2019 timeframe, we wanted to pivot the company into a much bigger market where we found cannabis as like a really strong opportunity, and we loved the plant, we loved robots, so it made a lot of sense. So then in 2020, we sold off the first part of the company, and then kind of solely focused on making robots for cannabis manufacturers, and launched our first product in 2021. And that's all she wrote. And now we've kind of built a bunch of things from then, and we are here today. So super high level.
Yeah, it's been very interesting researching your company. I've interviewed over 300 different CEOs and founders, and the one thing everybody's kind of agreed with that automation is going to be a massive opportunity within the industry. The technology you guys are implementing, can you maybe give everybody a little run through, or what are the current offerings you guys have in terms of robotics and how they fit with each individual category and segment?
Sure. We've done quite a few different things. I would say our main focus these days is working on pre-rolls. So right now we sell kind of every step in the pre-roll manufacturing chain. So we sell a machine that manufactures pre-rolls, kind of packs them, whether they're pre-rolls or blunts or straight tubes or half grams or whatever. And then we have another system that we invented back in 2021 called the GECO robot. So the GECO robot will inject concentrate down the center of pre-rolls, kind of like a Twinkie a little bit, and that will inject whether it's distillate or batter, or whether it's rosin, and that improves the THC percentage. Also, kind of changes the flavor profile of the pre-roll. And then just recently, we launched something called Stardust, which is a system that keeps the outside of pre-rolls. So what does that mean? It means you take your pre-roll that you have kind of already finished and ready to sell, but then now you spray the outside of it with distillate, and then you coat the keef, or you coat the pre-roll with keef or THCA crushed diamonds or bubble hash, and then it looks like a fuzzy pre-roll on the outside. And then later this year we'll be selling a system that takes those pre-rolls and then kind of decides whether you want to put it, crutch up or crutch down into a tube, seals it, puts a label on it, and then that way we'll have every step in the process for any pre-roll on the market. Yeah, and that's basically our main things. We also
And
have a vape
what are the
focus.
types of quantities that you're able to manufacture on an hourly or daily basis? We previously interviewed a guest who it seemed to be that they were churning out 100 million cones. That seems to be a lot of cones. What's the kind of production capacity of the machines?
So on the cone side, we have a machine that can do up to 2,500 cones an hour, and then we also have another system that will be able to do about 1,000 to 1,200 cones an hour, where we'll be doing like blunts or cones. It's kind of a highly variable option. And then on the infusion pieces of the setup, Let's see. The injection one, we've had customers go all the way up to like 1,500 joints per hour. And then on the keeping side, that's around, so far, our max speed has been 1,200 joints per hour. So some of them are different speeds depending on the process. But yeah, that's kind of the approximate speeds and feeds for that.
When it comes to the technology that you guys do use, obviously you're specializing in robotics at the moment, but the likes of computer vision and some machine learning models, is there any other applications? I would imagine computer vision in the cultivation world is something that could be implemented across the board.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a bunch of computer vision before, so especially on the cultivation side. So we actually first started in the industry making computer vision powered biomass sorter. This way, we could take hand trim and then separate out all the constituent parts of hand trim. So what does that mean? It means when we got large batches of hand trim, we could take out all the small buds, and then we could take out all the stems, and then we could take all the leaves, separate them into different piles, and then we could send the leaves to get extracted. We could throw the stems away to save on taxes, and then we could take the buds and sell them for pre-rolls. And that was a pretty interesting project because the computer vision had to operate and make decisions, within like 40 milliseconds. And we did some more research on that to understand if we could even do phenotype classification, and we did pretty well there. And it kind of noticed that at the moment when we made that, so that was one of the very first things that we made, so about 4 years ago, the cannabis industry was still too new to absorb a technology like that. I think these days that'll be a bit more important. But I have seen some computer vision on the grower side to kind of like analyze the plants. And I saw one machine that was trying to do computer vision scanning to see if any of the flowers are herming at a very high level. Otherwise, you'd have to like walk through, rows of plants and like check for seeds. But there's some kind of like color markers that you can do and do like um, high spectrum kind of analysis for the plants to see like if they're kind of going awry. So yeah, there's a few applications, especially in the cultivation side, just because otherwise you have to absorb every plant and inspect them one by one.
And what were some of the initial challenges that you faced when you were building the robotics? Is it the hardware or the software side of things, which is the biggest headache, or are they equally difficult things to overcome?
Uh, I mean, when you're doing robotics, it's not really just like a hardware and software individual approach, right? Because they got to play nice together. So it's not like twice as hard as either doing one of those independently. It's like three times as hard because it's got to work together, right? And that interface is always very dicey. Um, I think it just depends on like what the approach is. Yeah, like for example, the the first system that we built, the Roca sorter, which was our kind of top level, um, very first product into the market, not the cannabis market, but the e-commerce market. That one was really difficult because it was both a very complicated material handling problem, and then there is some sophisticated computer vision to recognize things and to make sure that that was reliable enough that the system would even be valuable. Because if the computer vision wasn't top notch, then it didn't even matter, what you did on the hardware side. And and that was one of those problems where they were both equally as hard. It was just kind of wild. Um, and then when it came to the let's say the biomass sorter that we made, that one was almost completely software side what made it difficult. The hardware side was really just like recreating some expired patents, kind of like a waterfall of agriculture, where like you have a bunch of material that falls off a ramp and then you shoot it with puffs of air. And that one was very much software based. because there's a lot of timing involved. The computer vision was really complicated. And then I guess if you think about GECO, that one was very much a hardware-based problem. The software was more just like control software, so it was a bit simplified. Uh, but the actual like implementation of the control software and making sure that the hardware was extremely uniform, extremely well refined, so that way you could control the dosage of this concentrate into joints. There's like a lot of little things that you have to get right on the hardware to make sure it's a consistent product. And yeah, that one definitely took a while, and especially because concentrates have a very, very wide range of operation. And so if your machine doesn't have the ability to at least like accept that wide range, it's not incredibly useful. So we had to make it like very, very variable, like very variable. And that was very much like a hardware problem for sure. So I guess it depends which part of the value chain we're kind of going after, because sometimes it's less software and sometimes it's more hardware. It just really depends.
What's the level of skill required for somebody to work one of these machines? I would imagine the dream scenario for you guys is that these machines are dotted in different factories all across the world and are able to produce X type of quantity. Is there a special skill set that's required to work the robots, or is it an easier barrier to entry to hire staff to manage these facilities?
So we have a saying here whenever we design a machine for the cannabis industry, it's we want to make sure that the machines are able to be operated by someone who um, is not sophisticated at all. Like they didn't even graduate high school, and they're high. And so that's kind of our goal. Like you can be intoxicated and be like 16 years old, because in many cases the people that are operating the machines, they might be migrant workers, they might not even speak English, and in other states they might be coming back from their break where they just smoked a joint or took like a dab rip and then went back into their manufacturing company to continue to work. And so because of that, uh, we make the machines themselves be pretty straightforward to operate. And even when we troubleshoot, we make it so that if you just follow the directions, they're pretty straightforward to operate. And we also provide this like pretty robust customer support system. Like all of our systems ship with a dedicated Slack channel, which is like a internal tool to communicate between teams, and that allows us to be very, very deeply embedded in our customers' operations of the machines, and we get to see if anything goes wrong. We also have like remote support as well to see if anything goes wrong. We can actually like log into the machine and see the video operations of the machines working to debug what happens. And so uh, I I specifically made it such that we don't have to have like some automation technician running the machines, because those don't really exist in the cannabis industry today. And that quality of worker is just really just too expensive to make the operation of the machine financially viable.
You guys are one of the premier technology companies that's innovating in this space. What are you looking forward to seeing the most over the next 12 to 24 months?
So specifically for our company, I think I would be really excited to see when we finally get our kind of fully automated line all stitched together. It's something we've been working on for the past couple of years, to have modular segments, kind of like what I described right now, which is all of our products. And what we're really working on now is making it so that each one of these segments can be either used independently, or you can kind of snug them all together and have a fully automated line where one machine hands off to another machine, which hands off to another machine, which hands off to another machine, and have that whole line be able to be operated by one individual. And I think that'd be really cool, especially for the throughputs that we'll be getting, considering the current market size in the different states. What I would also like to see it's just to help the whole industry as well as some form of federal changes, at least in the United States. I think that would be a pretty significant boon to the worldwide cannabis industry. I know Europe now finally has Germany, who just approved, which they thought they were going to do it last year, but now I guess they're doing it this year. And that sounds like a good thing for the European Union. I think once the United States kind of, I don't know, figures out whatever their plan is, then we're going to see a significant change globally. As if the reserve currency finds it legal and safe to bank, then everyone else should probably find that as well.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting couple of years for sure. For anybody who hasn't ever visited Sorting Robots website, it's below in the description wherever you're watching or listening to this. Highly recommend following them on all social media and checking out Nothal's page as well. Nohtal, thank you very much for your time today. It's been very much appreciated.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Owen.
Until next episode.